Are we rolling? Rolling. We're rolling.
Oh my God.
Rolling.
I feel like it's been a couple weeks since we've been together.
It does feel like it's been a minute.
I hear a weird echo in here. This doesn't normally sound like that.
I think are there some monitors on? Yeah, I think it's just the monitor.
Well, that can't be good. That's going to create feedback.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too. We're doing something we've never done before.
That's right.
No, we've never eaten.
We've never done a sequel to a sandwich place ever.
And to make it even more unbelievable, this is a chain. I didn't think we'd ever have a chain on to begin with. I talked to Jonathan about this the other day. And then when I eat these sandwiches, this ain't your grandpa's chain.
It's not. And even though it is a chain, he brought it to St. Louis for the first location. And from what I understand, I have it on Inside Track, that there are several more planned. So that
but this is
everybody
also,
can get to them.
like, I don't know if you know what this is.
I don't.
I don't know. Can I say this?
I'm not sure.
The type of meat you're using?
American Wagyu.
American Wagyu from Snake River, right? Yeah, which if you're not familiar,
I don't know. It's fill us all in.
High quality meat.
So our taste buds were into.
Oh yeah.
How
This
are
is
these cows treated? Isn't that how Wagyu got its name?
Well, we're gonna bring him on.
Yeah. You know what I think it is?
Kobe,
I think
right?
when
Is
you
where it
look
comes
at
from.
it, because there
Is
haven't
this the
been.
one when they massage it with something?
I mean, that's what I want to know, how these cows are raised.
I think the problem is I'm lumping it in with other chain restaurants in the like sandwich world.
What is the
I think it's
definition
more
of a
like
chain?
well, a bunch of them.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
think
locations
it's more
in
like
multiple cities.
How many is a
like
bunch?
Capitol Grill, for instance, is a chain. But you don't look down, oh, the food can't be good there. It's a chain. The food's outstanding there.
Right.
I think, because when I asked Jonathan, how do you have such great food and it looks beautiful? It's not just slopped on there. Somebody clearly put some love into it. The ingredients are the highest quality. And he said, it's a little bit pricier than your Subway sandwich, Yeah. So you're going to pay for that quality and good, but I will pay for it because these are great.
But you know what? And that's the thing is, and it's Capriotti's that we're talking about.
Jonathan,
we want to bring Jonathan on.
Yeah.
Let's bring Jonathan.
Jonathan Heslop.
Jonathan, here he is.
Just
folks.
say Tesla with an H and put a P on it.
Yeah, Heslop. This is very exciting because we've never had anybody on, any restaurant on twice. But we came on, and you remember, for those who watch the show just passionately, like Brody does, he remembers
our one fan,
the Bobby, which was the Thanksgiving sandwich. And when I had eaten it, I had made a remark that I wish it had a little dip in gravy. And you watched that episode and thought, damn, there is gravy. Why didn't they take gravy?
It was about 2 days after the episode aired that we got the gravy. We started the gravy.
And that's it.
So, because of us?
I'd like to say yes, but no. It's a limited time offer.
Just say yes. Who's going to care?
Be done. We wanted to.
Who's going to fact check?
That's right.
It was, yes. That's it's a limited.
not.
Gravy's usually a limited time thing in November and December. Every year.
This is like system wide.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
There it is. Now,
Are you eating with us today?
Oh, I was
gonna have
planning
a bite or two?
You're gonna eat. Right?
I was planning on going down to Joyous afterward. I don't know. I'm kidding. No, that's a great place.
Another great place.
I love it. Yeah.
What inspired you to get into sandwiches?
So I went to one of these Capriottis 20 years ago out in Las Vegas. I was out there. My former career was a helicopter pilot, and I was out at the helicopter convention in Las Vegas in 2004. So
what do they do at a helicopter convention?
Well, I was trying to get a job, but
there's a lot of hovering.
I mean, what do they?
There's one of every helicopter there, and all the manufacturers for parts and accessories.
Is it like
everything.
A car show or an RV show,
it's more
except
of
with helicopters?
Yeah,
it's more of a
hover on each of the booths.
It's more of a industry show, so it's similar to if you ever been to the.
What's new in helicoptering?
Not. I don't know of much. I've been out of that industry now for about 10 years.
So it's 20 years ago. You're there, and you ran into a Capriotti.
Yeah, I was trying to get my first real job as a helicopter pilot, and I wandered down the street there from the convention center and went into the only Capriotti's that was in Las Vegas. It originally started in the Delaware area, and it grew up the East Coast up to about Philadelphia. Well, one of the family members moved out to Las Vegas and opened a store there. and it just caught fire out there. There's 40 locations
We have
out
so
there.
many questions to ask you.
Oh,
the
you
first
have
one
no-
is, what is this first
Yeah, what
sandwich
do we
that we're
eat
about to
That is a chicken chipotle crunch. So
It looks
that's
good.
It's a chicken cheesesteak with lettuce,
toss me
tomato,
the
and
napkins.
crispy cheddar onions, and chipotle ranch on it. And Andy, there's some napkins right underneath
I
your,
like that a lot.
right behind your
I
phone.
got 'em.
So I wandered into this Capriotti's, and I was blown away. I had a capastrami, which I believe was your favorite last time. Thank you.
That was amazing.
I had that. It was a 20-inch sandwich back then. I think
You
it
didn't
was.
need it.
I think it would. No, I ate it for like 2 or 3 days, but it cost me like $12 back then. So I ended up getting a job as a pilot that I was trying to get while I was out there, and I did that for 10 years. And then I always was waiting. I saw the chain grow throughout the United States, and I started visiting them in other cities to see if the quality was there. And it was. They were maintaining it. It tasted just like it did. I'd go back to the one in Las Vegas. It's still there, in fact. I was there a couple months ago. And then I took my children there, and we got mad that no one opened one here in St. Louis. And finally, I was at a point with my other business where I could put that on autopilot. My kids said that they'd work for me. So I said, let's do it. Let's start 3
Now,
of them.
you got 4 boys.
I've got 4 boys.
And so you have plans on more than just one location. Right now, you're in Rock Hill.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
This is the corner of Rock Hill and Manchester, near Katie's.
Yes.
Okay, so you all know how to find this location.
But you have no idea the can of worms you've opened asking him what he does. There's a lot more.
There's a lot more, and luckily we have a good amount of time because you are, and we've only recently met, but just talking about the different things that you do are going to make for some interesting stuff here. But take us through what the plans are for Capriotti.
Yeah, I've got 4 kids, so I've got 4 jobs. You know, that's an understatement. But so the second location, we're just waiting to figure out the final bugs in the lease. When you get lawyers involved in these leases, it takes a while to get everything done.
We don't do any leases.
I know. So we're almost done. We'll have a location in Creve Coeur here, hopefully by this time next year that'll open. The third location, I'm hoping for something out in Chesterfield. And then if I've got any money or hair left, then we'll look at going out to St. Charles County. So minimum 3 in St. Louis County, and we'll try to do some more out in St. Charles County after that.
Why not like Frontenac, Clayton, or in the city? Is rent too high, or it seems like those areas get far more than the Central Corridor gets.
We're definitely a lunch crowd place, and
Well,
that's
downtown
and Clayton and downtown would do that, but we also have to have the dinner crowd as well. And one thing Capriotti's does that a lot of pizza places have done well, the higher end pizza places, is that it is a meal. It's not just something you're going to grab and go. We're trying to get families to come into our restaurant and eat in the evenings as well. And unfortunately, that's tough to do in Clayton and downtown.
Does a franchisee, especially in a market where you have the only locations, there's nobody else here, how much freedom, if any, do you have about your restaurant?
That's an excellent question, and that's one thing I think franchises get a bad rap on. Under that you are going to do this exact menu with this exact price at this exact way and marketing and everything else. It totally depends on the franchisor. And when you're with a company that has, let's say, 2,000 locations or even more than a couple hundred locations, that's probably the way it's going to be. With Capriotti's, it's 170 locations right now. I have the ear of everybody out in Las Vegas at the corporate office. I was texting with the president of the company yesterday. So, I mean, you can do things. I mean, they want you to do.
It's still early enough that you can have influence.
Absolutely. If you've got a reason that you want to do things a certain way, they are going to listen to it, and they're probably going to allow it. They've given me a lot of autonomy.
Well, you were also Store of the Year?
So far, I've got the highest metrics when it comes to customer satisfaction, overall satisfaction. My scores are very high, if not the top.
Most of those were Ed just voting over and over
but you
again.
should be very proud. I mean, that's a big deal to do that right
Satisfy
out of the
me
gate.
with this sandwich.
So that's the hot Bobby. So that's the signature sandwich
So don't
right
we need
there.
the gravy then? Wasn't there
Yes, the
gravy that
gravy's
was
right
brought?
over there next to the
All right, good. We're not going to make that mistake.
What do you do about
twice.
sides?
sides. So the French fries are amazing. I don't know if we brought French fries last time.
We did.
The best fries.
They were great fries, as I recall.
And that's pretty good since they sat for a while. Normally, you want to get those right away. We also have chips and soups and salads.
Now,
and all kinds of things
did
like
you
that.
know, speaking of influence that a franchisee can have on a chain, But, you know, McDonald's, famously, their filet of fish came from a franchisee in Ohio who couldn't sell meat on Fridays because the whole town was Catholic. And then, of course, the Egg McMuffin came from a franchisee as well.
Thank you.
So, yeah, a particular franchisee. And
I
then
want
that
you to
led
know,
everything. Fast
you were
food
wearing
breakfast.
gloves. I washed my hands. I'm known for food safety, except for gloves. I washed my hands. I'm very clean.
Can you bring that gravy?
We got 100% on our health inspection yesterday.
Okay, I think I can just take a dip and pass it along.
Okay.
Well, there's three of them there. That we can all do that.
Yeah,
and
I
don't
have that
need one
open.
Well, we'll leave it.
The Bobby was the,
for the people down.
That's the one that was. This is the sandwich.
I'm just going to take this gravy and use it.
This was the sandwich that was voted greatest in America.
Really?
The original is cold, like leftovers, but then they started grilling it to make it hot, and then now we've got the gravy as well during the winter. Isn't that good?
Sorry. That's outstanding. Ed was right about the gravy.
So yeah, we make that gravy in house.
You know, if you push the button, that noise will
Good
stop.
Lord.
The turkeys we do.
Good Lord.
Is that the greatest sandwich in America?
Wait, you know,
So good. I can't say it without cursing.
they make. I don't think you cursed.
I did in my head.
No. Don't you make the turkey every morning?
We do every night. They slow roast overnight, 12 hours. We do right now. We do 3 to 4 turkeys a night right now. That's how much turkey we go through.
I can't tell if you love the sandwich or stubbed your toe.
I'm telling you, there's something special going on here, and they know I don't lie and I don't exaggerate when it comes to food.
No, this is a really good sandwich.
This is the reaction I had 20 years
Did you
ago
get
to
some?
this.
Is this the first sandwich you had there?
I had the capistrami there
remember-
first.
oh, right,
and
right,
then I had this without the gravy. It was still the cold sandwich. They had to
Did you
introduce
get the
hot
gravy?
one.
Would you like a little?
Yeah, I would like.
And then they came out with the cheese steaks, and I think that's next on the list here for you, which just blow your mind as well.
I'd like to go back to your sides.
Yes, sir.
Oh, where are the fries?
I
You want to
think
fry?
sides are very important.
You want to pour it on?
Yeah, no, just on the side.
So the fries, I'll tell you a story about that.
Where are the fries? Do we have some fries?
I did not bring those. We had them
you did
last
not,
time, so
okay.
I'm sorry. I brought some extra sandwiches, though. That was my
Perfect,
thought.
we'll
to
take
use
it.
those at the start. But the fries are... So they called me as we were just finishing out, laying out the plans, and they said, hey, we're coming out with fries. Do you want to put fries in your store? And I go, what do I need fries for? I got subs. I don't want to mess with the fryer. And they go, no, you got to try these. So I flew all the way to Las Vegas to the test kitchen just to try the French fries. And I called the contractor and I said, stop everything. It was an epiphany moment, just like you had. I said, stop everything. We need to do French fries. And they said, if we have to put this fryer in there, we got to make a bigger hood, bigger makeup air units, bigger gas lines, all this other stuff. It's going to cost you $65,000 to do fries. I said, I don't care. Do it. And
that's what it takes.
We sell more fries than any other store in the system.
Why
they
did it
are
cost
amazing.
so much to make fries?
Because
They had to reconfigure the
we had to
whole thing.
reconfigure it, and we had to put mainly a bigger hood, and that hood was a ridiculous amount of money. That
You
I
got
had
to
to
move a lot of merchandise to make that up.
But you
we'll
know,
make it back.
here's
on the
what
fries.
I find.
It's- People come just for the fries.
I mean, that's the thing.
Especially when you can
you'll
get
make
the-
money. Things that are born out of passion to be the best, like a legitimate passion out of pride, invariably leads to financial success.
I think that's right. It wasn't for you. It wasn't a financial decision. It was, these are great.
I have a chance
I want the
to
restaurant
serve,
to be
exactly.
great.
I have an opportunity to serve this on my menu. I know people are going to love it, and I don't care what it costs. We're doing it.
Yeah.
And you'll be rewarded many, many times over for that type of. Because
And this is the reward.
Except
it is. Let me tell you,
that guy in China who
not
said,
everybody can afford the best.
duck tongues.
You know how that is, Terry. Not everyone's going to afford the best house in America, the best car you can drive, the best pair of shoes you can get. But everybody can afford the best sandwich that could be had.
Or
and
the best
even if
fries.
your stuff costs a little bit more than, say, a Subway, and maybe it's not something people could eat every day, but the average person living in St. Louis could go there, bring their kids, have a meal, and be dining like kings, like royalty on
Be
sandwiches.
proud
With
of their
the
lunch.
best ingredients. The other thing that we do for kids, we do free grilled cheeses for kids.
Free grilled cheeses,
Because
folks.
kids, I don't like having to charge, people. I've got 4 kids. I know how it is to go into a restaurant. When I was earlier, all I could take my kids to was Chick-fil-A. And I mean, but
Now, how do you promote that? I would imagine if people knew that you were doing free grilled cheese for kids, What parents? I mean,
All
people
day,
are
every
living
day?
on budgets.
All day,
Seriously.
every day,
I mean,
yeah.
why
And it's supposed to
do people
be-
know this? I mean, I would imagine you'd have lines out the door.
Limited to just one?
No, well, it's supposed to be one grilled cheese per adult sandwich. I don't do that. I mean, if I brought my kids, I wouldn't want people that.
No, is that your idea or is this
That's a company
system?
thing.
Is
That's
it? That's
system-wide.
nice.
But it says it speaks volumes about the company.
Yeah.
You know, now the other challenge too, I always think one of the hardest things in starting a chain is right where they are right now with 170 some odd locations. Because not enough locations to justify like a real national television budget. Like no one's on TV seeing commercials for Capriotti's. So a lot of the benefits of being in a franchise are those combined marketing efforts. So what are they bringing to the table? What's the future for the overall corporate? Are we going to see the commercials promoting Capriotti's at some point?
The goal is to have a lot more stores, but when I'm the guy here in the island, I mean, here in St. Louis, there isn't any other stores. The closest are going to be Kansas City, Chicago, Bentonville, Arkansas. So it's a ways, but they don't go and spend my marketing dollars on commercials for Las Vegas, where there's 40 stores.
Wait, they do have one in Kansas City?
2 of them in Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
2 in Kansas City, 2 in Chicago, Bentonville. There's 3 of them in Indianapolis. And so as we get more here, we'll do a little bit more mainstream media, but I've got a pretty good control of my media spend. I used to work for the news stations. I'm involved in radio, so I've got plenty of contacts when it comes to media. So that's how I was able to just say, hey, can I just take this and handle it myself?
Quick pause. What's this next sandwich we're about to bite into?
That's the
They've already
cheesesteak.
started.
It's good.
That's the cheesesteak with mushrooms, onions, and some sweet peppers on there for you.
Okay, well, you can't go wrong with that.
It's really good.
Now,
I jumped in before you described it.
aside from sandwiches, you know what? Because the last time I had a conversation with this guy, it was last Friday.
Yeah.
And he did not look like this at all. You want to tell the people what you do when you're not doing this?
There ain't
You
no
repeat
party like a
things.
Brown and Crouppen party, let me tell you. That was a lot of fun. My other alter ego is I'm in the band Platinum Rock Legends. And yes, as I was talking to you, I was in my wig and my guy liner and my leopard pants. And we were welcome to play the Christmas party here, and we had a blast.
How did that come about? I mean, first of all, just so you guys know, the name of the group is Legends.
Platinum Rock Legends.
You guys aren't just a band. I mean, you're doing classic tunes, mostly from the 80s, but you have somebody who literally is Michael Jackson, somebody else, and same guy as Prince, and he does both great.
And Bruno Mars, yes.
We have Bruno Mars. There was Freddie Mercury. There was Def Leppard. What was the one from Poison?
Bret Michaels.
Bret Michaels.
Yes.
And they're singing just like these guys, and they're putting on. How did that come together? How did you guys all know that you could even do all that?
This goes way back before I was ever part of it. And I went back to a band called Metal Studs that was back 20 years ago that Will Lackey, the guys playing Freddie Mercury and Steve Perry and Billy Idol, so forth. He had that band. And he stopped that one to start Platinum Rock Legends.
Well, this sandwich feels heavy. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's the Wagyu Slobby Joe. That's going to be the American Wagyu cold with Russian dressing, provolone, and coleslaw on it.
Oh my God.
He put together
It's a good day at Brown and Crouppen.
Yeah.
He put together this kind of group of really good, the best musicians. One of the bass player is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and for Kansas. He played for a Shooting Star. Best guitar, our
Wait,
drummer.
Is he in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of Kansas.
Oh, okay.
And then we had.
You're off mic.
And then we also had
looks good.
our drummer was the drummer for Three Dog Night and Front Runner and various.
That the right sandwich?
Yes,
You were
sir.
right.
Wagyu Slobby Joe.
Three Dog Night, good group. You know that. What's it, Chuck Negron? Is he?
That's correct,
He went
yeah.
to high school with my father. They both went to Taft High School. They were
my
1
God.
year apart. Yeah.
So
Is he that
yeah,
old?
it's just
I guess, yeah.
he put together a band of great musicians and 3 great singers with the mission statement that we will never sacrifice fun for money, and invested in video walls and smoke and lights and everything to make it a show that you watch, not that you listen, that you watch.
Right.
And
that's what people did. It felt like people were watching
You're a show band.
performance.
Yeah.
That's what James Brown was.
Yeah.
Yeah, show band.
Yeah, he
He
put
was
it to,
talented.
Hey, what?
You know what? I'm
High
gonna
energy.
give you a new plate. Looks
Oh,
like
thank
you've
What's
exhausted
happening on
that
that
one.
plate? That
Well,
looks like
I-
a
you know,
disaster.
These are
Rubble
some.
of
Those are old sandwiches.
Yeah, but those are untouched old sandwiches.
Okay.
These are.
All right, sir.
Oh, let's see a doctor about that.
Yeah, that had some.
Now you mentioned
Had some
radio.
oomph
Also,
to
are you also
Sandwich
a radio
peas.
host?
Little bit.
A little bit.
And we touched on all these things that none of that is actually your primary profession.
Correct. Yes.
You're a charcoal man.
What do you? Oh, that's right.
He's a charcoal man.
Yeah, so
Did you
I-
know that?
What do you mean a charcoal?
I wear a lot of different hats. I go in and I co-host on a radio show when they need me to, and same on a podcast. I do the band thing in Fridays and Saturday nights. But my main business is the St. Louis Charcoal Company, which I started many years ago while I was still a pilot. When you're an air ambulance pilot, you're pretty bored. You sit around all day, and I started this charcoal company, and I grew the brand into to go back to what you said earlier. If you've got a passion about something and want to show it as great and get people
Loves charcoal.
Where did that come from?
I loved charcoal. I loved to barbecue, and then there was this brand I really liked, and I flew over the plant in the helicopter. I recognized where it was, and I found my way back down there, and I started buying charcoal off the dock down there and bringing it back to my friends and family. And enough people got interested in it, then suddenly there was commercial and attention with it, and the businesses wanted to buy it from me. Well, I had this idea to start my own brand, and I did, and I grew it to the #1 consumer ranked charcoal in the country for the last 10 years.
Your
What-
charcoal
what
is
is
available
charcoal?
in 6,000
But what
locations.
exactly is charcoal?
Charcoal is it's two ingredients, wood and fire. There's nothing else. But knowing how to do that right is the hard part.
In other
and
words,
then,
you take wood
It's double burned.
and you burn it.
Yeah.
yes.
And this is the product of, you would think it would be used up.
No.
Right.
So, you take all of that, right? It gets ground down. It's almost like
No, you don't even ground
powder.
it down. It breaks apart. You're thinking of briquetting, which is different. That briquetting is something
Okay.
that Henry Ford popularized back in the 20s. It was actually, I can't think of the guy's name that actually holds the patent on it back from the late 1800s, but Henry Ford popularized it by using all of the byproduct off the Model
leftover
T,
wood from the Ts,
Model T line. And with his cousin, E.G. Kingsford,
Yeah.
that's how briquettes got popular. So what we do is lump charcoal, which is nothing but all the offcuts of all the wood from down in southern Missouri, all the pieces you can't make into furniture, flooring, railroad ties, everything else. It's virgin wood that comes out of the plant. It's the offcuts off the tree. It dries, goes in a kiln, and you stop the fire basically when it starts to burn the carbon. So it's a week-long process, but the fire is stopped when it hits about an 80 to 85% carbonization, and then it takes a week to cool. Open up the kiln, sort it, put it in the bags, and ships up to
What's the brand?
It's called Rockwood.
Rockwood charcoal. Wow.
Yeah. So it's in 6 to 7,000 locations across the U.S. and as well as Amazon, and that's what pays the bills
Right.
and pays my mortgage and my kids' tuition.
Now,
and that kind of
Missouri
thing.
is, I think, I've heard the biggest charcoal producing
is,
state
in
in
the
the country.
country.
It is.
Where did you hear that?
Well, I have a friend who was also in the charcoal
heard-
business in Missouri,
Jonathan.
except I believe he was in the charcoal business to sell mostly to churches, the charcoal they use in that, thing that they swing.
Yeah.
So wait.
And that was a St. Louis company that they made most of
What
those.
does it come in bags?
Yes, it comes 20-pound bags.
Would I have ever? Is it possible I've never used or seen charcoal? Only briquettes.
Yes, I would think that's possible.
It's possible.
Let's take a moment to talk about this past sandwich that I just devoured in an instant. Which one was that? Because that was outstanding.
That was the sloppy
That
Joe
is the
thing?
Wagyu Slobby Joe. That is American Wagyu from Snake River Farms, cold.
Okay.
And then
that was like butter.
isn't it good?
It was delicious, and it had enough salt in there to where it wasn't just. It had good taste, but the texture. Am I nuts to say that the texture
just-
on that
yeah.
beef?
It was
melts.
great.
It's a good shoe.
Do you slice
It
it?
really is. There's no fat on there at all. It was
buy-
just lean and delicious.
You buy a full brisket.
It comes in as a roast, and then we slice it every morning.
So a friend of mine, the reason I know mostly about Snake River is a friend of mine had a party about a year ago. In fact, I think it was about a year ago because I think the party is coming up this weekend. And they got a Wagyu brisket from Snake River Farms, and they dry aged it in the refrigerator for about 3 days. And baked it for about 10 hours, and really, a friend of mine and I still talk about this brisket. It is outstanding. It is such great quality and delicious. So
He dropped about $200 on that brisket too, at least.
he may have, but this year he said he doubled up. Yeah, oh yeah, I think so. It was actually, I looked for it. It was surprisingly, I don't want to say inexpensive, but when I heard Wagyu brisket, I was expecting $50, $60, $70 a pound. And I was surprised to learn it's still expensive. It's like $20 a pound or something.
So there's a difference. And Mr. Crouppen, to your question earlier,
Jerry, please.
I was going to say, Mr. Crouppen.
the
Military guy.
so no, I wasn't in the military, but I was civilian.
Oh, I thought you flew.
No, I was all civilian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I flew civilian air ambulances, and I flew for Channel 2 as well. That was my, but I was all a civilian guy. But to your question earlier about Wagyu beef, so everybody has probably heard of Kobe beef, and that's the ones in Japan, and it's very limited what you can actually get into the United States. It's a breed of cow, and yes, they massage them and they feed them beer and all this other stuff. I've had it before in Chicago and Las Vegas and other big cities where you get a little, cube of it, and it's $100, and I mean, it's good. I don't know if it's that good. But there was a herd of those original cows that were brought over to the United States sometime in the 70s or 80s, and they mated them with Angus. So an Angus plus Kobe, or a real true Japanese Wagyu cow, the breed, that's what makes American Wagyu beef. And it's very regulated on using the word. It's a trademarked word, copyrighted word, whatever you want to call it. But they... you
remember when the word Angus got real big in this country for a while? Nobody had ever heard of Angus. And
Angus McCaskill?
And then they made it a thing.
A true giant.
Right? They made it a thing. And then all of a sudden it was, if you weren't getting that, you weren't getting something good.
Brilliant marketing move.
Yeah. Is that where we're heading now with the Wagyu?
Well, there's a limited amount of it. I don't know how many they can actually produce because it's not like this herd is going to grow too much, from what they've got, the original. I don't know how much. I don't know if they've got a limited capacity on what they can produce. But it's around, and it's, Snake River Farms is probably the most popular brand of it. But yes, the Wagyu breed, it's definitely a higher end.
So are you providing something at your location that the Capriottis in Las Vegas cannot replicate? I mean, are they getting that meat?
Oh, yeah.
Does everyone use
the Snake River?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's...
Where are they located? Where's
Boise, Idaho.
Boise.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
We're across the board. Every store's got about the same thing. It's just more of an operational thing, whether or not you have French fries, if you have a fryer or not, and just a couple other things that may or may not be missing.
So let's run through all of your jobs, because I found that fascinating. So charcoal guy, that's the main thing, pays the bills. You're in the band, you own the sandwich shops. You're
Helicopter.
On the radio, right? What is that?
I'm on 1019.
Doing what?
It's conservative news talk.
And you're just a talking head talking about...
Yeah, I go in and co-host.
Okay.
When they need me. But I'm also an advertiser and a part owner of that station.
Okay.
See, this is a couple times now, because we also had, was it Jason Brockman to see Strange Donuts? Bachman.
Yeah.
Bachman. And you see young guys in town, and they seem to be involved in a lot of different things. It's like... It's not like the old days where people just had their career and that was it and that's what they did. It seems like this next generation of sort of entrepreneurial types, they got their finger in a lot of pies. Yeah. They get bored on one thing. Maybe it's people leaning into a little bit of ADD. I don't know. But it seems like the successful people of your generation, they're involved in a lot of different things. Even when you look at the big players like Elon Musk, he's not in one thing. He has a lot of different areas that he's in.
I think it's fun. I mean, I like going and doing what I think is fun. I used to teach concealed carry classes here in Missouri because I enjoyed it. It was fun. I was never a moneymaker. The band thing, I've never gotten paid a dime for that. I do that. That's all just me there having fun with my buddies.
What is your EDC?
Say that again?
Your everyday carry. What do you have an everyday carry?
Oh, of course.
Are you carrying
I usually a P380 for pocket carry, but I've got a lot of different firearms, and I enjoy all of them. My kids, it's a good fun pastime for my kids and I.
And so, are you carrying now as you sit here on the podcast?
No, I didn't bring it because I didn't want it like hurting my leg or anything.
No, listen, that's fine. We're
Steve, the law, I think, is a very restrictive career.
What do you mean?
If you're a lawyer, you know.
No, you can own a sandwich
You
shop.
can.
You could be a helicopter pilot.
You can, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like
there aren't. No, you could. Anybody could.
You could be on the
But very
radio.
few
Wait, hold
are.
on. We're not done though. You own a part of a bank too, right?
I'm an investor in a bank, yes. But,
What else? Don't you have a bunch of other? How many more things?
I'm also a realtor, yes.
Realtor? Like when you say you're a realtor, like do you actually buy and sell regularly, or you got your license and?
I used to be a lot more involved in it. And in fact, the charcoal and the concealed carry was a way to meet people, to develop a network, to hopefully they liked me and eventually would use me to buy and sell real estate. And I got into it when the market was tanking back in 2008 and allowed me, it was a good time to get into it because everybody was doing bad. And there was an opportunity. I enjoyed it. And I flipped some houses. I did some other things. But it was one of those things where, you know, when you're out trading your time for money, you got to make sure that you're making enough that it doesn't become a burden to you, basically. And the real estate was tough because you're out representing somebody else. Nobody's as serious as you are sometimes. So
It can be very time consuming.
when you look at your 4 kids, is there one in particular, or maybe more than one, where you think they're the one taking over the sandwich empire? I can see it already.
they all love it.
They're all in on the
They're
sandwiches.
all in on that. But
Anybody favor the charcoal?
they all drive the forklift, so they're all good at
okay.
the forklifts. They help me out. We wouldn't have made it through the summer of 2020 without those kids. When all the shops were shut down and everything, and we had to go and become an online business, I was running a little sweatshop in my warehouse out there in Eureka, where my kids worked for me nonstop, making the.
Wait, no, what is this? Did I double up?
That is the Wagyu French dip, and we're gonna need the au jus.
Yes, we are.
We need au
There's
jus.
3 cups of au jus over there for you fellas to
How
dip
did you
that in.
learn to fly a helicopter?
So going back even further, my dad was in software in a company out in Chesterfield, and he convinced his company somehow to let him use a private plane to fly him around all these little hospitals that he had contracts with. So I got to go along, and I sat up front in the airplane and learned how to fly airplanes. And then the company went public, and he couldn't really get away with that anymore. And at the same time, there was a lady that worked for him whose husband had a helicopter flight school, and I got affiliated with him, started learning how to fly helicopters, and I soloed in a helicopter on my 16th birthday, got my license on my 17th birthday, and my first job out of high school was flying a helicopter.
And do you still fly with any regularity?
Not helicopter. I haven't flown a helicopter in over 10 years. That is something you really got to stay up on.
I was going to say,
So are you even still licensed?
Oh yeah, your license is good forever.
Did you get in a helicopter, take off, and
like
go
riding a
someplace?
bike.
It's like riding a bike. Yes, I could. Now, proficiency-wise,
I
emergency
can't
maneuvers,
ride
I
a
would.
bike.
After 4,000 hours of flying, I'd be a little bit rusty. But I had flown with a fella that hadn't flown since the Korean War, and within a couple hours, he was back to where he was 30 years.
But where
prior.
was he the first 10 or 15
Yeah, well,
minutes?
the first couple hours were rocky.
No, not really. Not really. He'd never flown a helicopter that small before, which was his only thing. But no, I still fly airplanes. I'm still involved
Are
in that.
helicopters far harder?
Much harder. Much harder. It's
than a
inherently
plane.
unstable. They joke around that it's like trying to rub your stomach and pat your head while standing on a beach ball blindfolded. And it is. It's a balance thing. It's totally a balance thing.
Is it
Unbelievable.
worth it just to tell us about traffic? I mean, we see it.
You don't even have
There's
to do it
traffic.
anymore.
It's
that's-
not like it's going to do
That's right.
anything
A
anyway.
drone does it now.
Drone or all the traffic cameras do it. That is that is something that we used to be up all the time. I mean, if somebody had a wreck on the side of 44, we were up taking a picture of it, and it was fun. That was the most fun flying I ever did, was for Channel 2, when we'd go out and just find cool things to take pictures of. And unfortunately, just the way things have changed in the world with the spending and the news station, it's not economical for them to do that anymore, so that the helicopters just don't get used as much.
I was at a thing for the
This
kids'
is amazing,
school.
by the way.
Great.
Just as an aside.
They had a vehicle fair, and every year they'll have the county police department will bring a helicopter. And I was talking to the guy. I found this unbelievable and a little terrifying. The helicopter pilots that the St. Louis County Police hire, according to what this person told me, none of them have any prior experience flying helicopters.
They train them there.
They train them there.
Yeah.
And after about 6 months, you're out flying helicopters, which, I mean, I feel like you need a lot more. I would assume they were all ex-military or had a lot of experience. It's a little scary that because they've got to be often in kind of tense situations. Yeah. And I think one person, the pilot, is the pilot, and then the passenger is the cop.
And you are that's one thing that does plague a lot of the police departments, flight departments across the country, is when they need to separate themselves from policemen to pilot. But a lot of them, there's a lot of training that goes into it, and I don't want to take anything away from them. They have an excellent safety record here in St. Louis, one of the best, and they do a good job. A lot of the pilots that do fly for them have been trained prior. I trained one of them back 20 years ago when I was an instructor, and so yeah, they do a lot of good out there.
How do they do with weather?
They do. It just, I was just surprised they did. But at some point, it's just hours behind the stick, right?
But in an airplane, you go through weather, and you don't.
Helicopter, you don't do that. Yeah, but
what happens when the weather gets
when
bad?
the weather's bad? You're not going to see anything anyway, so you don't.
You get down.
Yeah, the only time
I imagine the wind can't be good in a helicopter.
The only time that we flew in weather was the EMS, but you were going from a set airport to airport kind of thing. If you were doing instrument flight, you wouldn't have a direct flight to the hospital because none of our hospitals here have instrument approaches in St. Louis, but others do, like Mayo Clinic and other ones.
I hate to. I mean, I'm fascinated. You have so many fascinating aspects to you.
Is there anything else?
Let's talk about this au jus as one of your more fascinating aspects, because this is really one of the. Because I don't traditionally like a normal French dip.
Really?
And just as a normal thing, I don't usually like to dip my sandwiches into anything. But this
strange.
Taste that au jus.
I am.
I don't think it tastes like a normal au jus. This is delicious to me. It's a little salty, which I like. It really brings a lot to the sandwich. Well, you guys are making this from scratch there? Or you're getting it directly from...
It comes... A lot of the stuff that
What's in this is what I'm basically getting to, because that's freaking delicious.
A lot of the stuff that we get is made for us. It comes in Capriotti's packaging, especially a lot of the sauces. Even the turkeys we get, the butterball turkeys, are not bread, but I mean they are special turkeys for Capriotti's because we get a certain size and without the giblets because we don't need that. But I mean, a lot of the stuff we get there at the store is for us.
I'm amazed by how many little things they're getting right. You normally just don't see that.
And that's the passion that I saw when I went out there and just saw this company initially and then watched it grow. I said, here's a franchise that I can get behind. And I think that we talked earlier about the chains, how they get kind of a bad rap sometimes, that you think it's all profit or you think it's all a big company driving it. And that is true with some. It's a matter of, do you have a chain because you're trying to get something that across the board everybody knows? Like, does anybody eat at McDonald's because it's good?
I love McDonald's.
Really?
But
that's not why you eat there.
But do you eat there because it's good, or do you eat there because it's consistent?
It's easy, it's consistent, you know what you're going to get.
You know exactly what you're going to get. You know how much time it's going to take. The kids, is it the experience? Is it what you are expecting? And that's, and Mr. Crouppen, you said earlier that the previous show, you said greatness is in the eye of the beholder. And there was one piece of that as well, that the experience, the expectation that you have is a big piece of that. So when people go into a McDonald's or something, they are expecting a certain thing. Yeah. And when you go into a nice restaurant, you're expecting a certain thing. I walked into this store expecting a certain thing, and I was blown away.
Right, that's exactly what happened.
We went into this expecting a certain thing, and you guys were blown away.
It's clear that their goal is not sell as many sandwiches as we can for as cheap as we possibly can sell them, using the crappiest ingredients.
There's a problem.
They want quality.
Yeah, but here's the problem.
What's the problem?
This is where you got to watch these guys like hawks.
Stay in business.
Because what happens is when a chain gets to a certain size and they want to make more money, that's when they start making these little compromises, because now all of a sudden saving a nickel on something becomes a lot of money because you've got 2,000, 20,000, 30,000 locations. If Domino's Pizza can take a penny off the cost of their crust, they'll do it because it really does add up.
The famous story about American Airlines with the olive. When they removed the olive from the salad, they saved $180,000 a year.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Like, well, Snake River's Angus is pretty good.
Right, and that's the thing. See, at 170, 180 stores, a certain level and you can maintain that because you haven't hit those low. But that's my worry, and that's why you got to watch them like hawks.
But we know that this is the identity of the company. This is why people like it. And if they get away from the quality aspect of it or start shorting things, it's not going to survive.
Well, most chains, they're not focusing on quality. You know, you never hear, "Oh, McDonald's, we use the finest beef." They don't brag about.
And that's why I'm curious
their raw
about
materials.
like Jersey Mike's. Just sold. For a tremendous amount of money.
A lot of money.
And I will say, of the large sandwich chains, I always felt like, and this is not including you guys, but I always felt like they were ahead of everybody because they were slicing their meats fresh. They were using good quality meat. And I grew up in the East Coast, and I felt like their sandwiches were legitimate. They tasted like sandwiches I grew up with. I don't know what's going to happen now that they've been bought, what their future plan is. That's the thing. That's what I worry about.
Suspect, were they bought by private equity?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that's the end.
That's my concern. And then it's like, you could take a chain like a Quiznos, which, they had 5 minutes of fame when they first introduced sort of hot sandwiches. Where are they now?
I don't know what happened to them. I don't know how that. You know what?
They're still around in the South.
Yeah, but they went through a major.
I know a guy who owns a Quiznos.
Yeah,
still does.
Living out of his
most
trunk.
of them are out of business.
No,
I don't like Jimmy John's. I don't find their product to be.
But Jimmy John's thing was not quality. It's fast.
Speed.
Yeah,
speed.
Really fast.
And they delivered. They were the only company that delivered back.
And also, originally they started on a college campus.
Yeah, Bloomington, Illinois.
And that's what it is. Like, it's a perfect food for a college campus. Yeah. I'm hungry. I need a sandwich quick. It's cheap. It'll be here in 15 minutes before I go to class. That's great. And I like Jimmy John's. I used to eat there quite a bit, still eat there sometimes. But it's not, you guys aren't, we're going to get it to you as fast as possible. We're going to get you a great sandwich with great ingredients. And it looks great. It's not just slopped together. Like,
talk about that. Talk about training your people, because I think everybody can relate to this. How do you get your employees to buy into that vision that he's talking about, that they're taking a pride in every sandwich?
It has to be, because every time you go to I say this to my wife all the time. When you go to restaurants and then you go back and back, there's so much inconsistency. The great restaurants, the greatest thing they can do is just make it the same meal every time you go there, and it's seemingly impossible.
So what's the key to the training of the people?
Well, they sent a team out from Las Vegas. First off, my general manager and I, we had to go to Las Vegas for 3 weeks for the training. We had to work in it. The busiest company store there was. I split it into 2 weeks, and I worked 13-hour shifts so that I could get out of there fast so I could get back home to my kids. He stayed for, I think he was there 2.5 weeks, and then we came back. And then the week we opened, they sent out 2 trainers from Las Vegas who worked in our store for 7 days and worked with all of our people to make sure that they knew how to make these sandwiches. There was also online training. We've got the sandwich guides and everything, but they make it, I'm not going to say it's easy to make, but it's recipes that can be duplicated easily. We prep in the morning, and then we have assemble our grill for the lunch hour and everything. So there's not steps that can be missed very easy. The portioning is a very important part of it, and that's not just for food costs. Portioning is important because, again, you want to create that consistency experience. Right. Somebody gets a whole bunch of extra meat on a sandwich. They're happy today. They're not happy next time, so we lose the customer. If there's not enough on it there to begin with, we lose the customer.
That's right.
It's got to be same every single time. And by our recipes, we know down within a nickel of what each one of these sandwiches takes to produce.
Which is also a reason for the consistency. Yes. It helps keep your prices.
So our supply chain, that's another thing about franchises and chains, is we've got enough people out there, enough stores, enough buying power that we lock the prices in, and we lock in the supply chain that we're going to get these products. Look what happened years ago when chicken wings went through the roof and you couldn't get them. I mean, all the stores that were chicken wings.
Days.
It decimated these places that made a living selling chicken wings. And I'm not talking about the chains. I'm talking about all the bars around St. Louis and everything. Yeah. So having a chain, having that kind of buying power behind you is
Buffalo,
extremely...
New York still hasn't recovered.
Telling you.
Having that buying power behind you is what helps a bunch. So as I said, we had all the training that we put into these folks, and those of us that had been out to Las Vegas and worked in the stores, standing over everybody's shoulder to make sure that this is the same every damn time.
You know what's an interesting, as you say that, we have the exact same situation. keeping quality service
For sure.
and keeping quality product are very much alike. I'm sure if we sat down and talked to you, we do all of the same type of things. Maybe it's applied differently, but keeping legal services consistently high is the exact same problem as keeping a sandwich.
is.
Or if you had if you picked up, one of those get junk, I'm sure they have a method. They supervise people. They have a way it needs to be done. No, I think that any successful business, whether it's a franchise or not, runs into the problem of consistency.
What did you find there?
We're having a Vesta board malfunction.
Oh, God. What food is ready for a chain that has not really, that nobody's really cornered the market and created the definitive chain for a particular type of food? Anything come to mind?
For the longest time, I think it was barbecue. And that is something that a company like Sugar Fire.
We've
has
had this
done
conversation.
Tremendous job of it. I know one of the franchisees, and there you go. There's a franchise right there, Sugar Fire, that it does tremendous things. And they have found out how to make a brisket and make a lot of it and make it good. And that was I always wanted a restaurant. I always wanted to do one. Everybody says they like my food, but that doesn't mean that it's meant to be out in a restaurant that you can replicate the food I make at home every time, or I can make it in quantity, or I can source the ingredients or whatever. And that's why I kind of went with this versus trying to do it with my own recipes. This is a proven product. This has been around for 48 years. Everybody loves it. They've stood the test of time. You don't have that luxury when you start out from scratch unless you really know what you're doing. And me being new to the restaurant industry, I did not have that. I knew that.
So you're a good cook.
At home, yes, but again, is that because people like it? My kids like it.
Is it mostly leftover sandwiches now at home? You're taking home whatever doesn't sell. And
it's hilarious. We last weekend I made, or last week sometime for the kids, I made fried rice out of the extra chicken that we had and the extra onions and mushrooms and everything. Before that, we made spaghetti with all the extra meatballs and meat sauce and everything. So
I'll give you one. You get a big cast iron and you make some rice and you make it into like a gumbo.
Yeah.
Or a paella.
So yes, most of the story we are pretty good about. My general manager is fantastic about portioning and everything, knowing what we need for the day. So we don't have much food that we ever have to throw away at all. But I do take a lot of that food home. And my kids are the envy of the cafeteria at St. Louis U High and their other grade school.
How old are your kids?
15, 14, 12, and 10.
Oh, wow. You got your hands full.
Real close together, yes.
and they're all driving that forklift?
Yeah,
God.
I had the one train. He was driving the forklift at 7 years old. So yeah,
I don't think my parents would let me drive a forklift now.
they're good at it. And the good thing is, when the child labor laws don't apply when you're the owner.
That's right.
I know, it's fantastic.
We were having dinner with the
Beat the system. Just keep
with,
having those kids.
Governor Parson back in April, and he was teasing us about that. He told me he'd give me a pardon if I ever got in trouble for that child labor.
Pardon by Parson.
Yeah.
What any other interesting? There's got to be more to you because we've just touched on the jobs.
Yeah.
If you have that much going on, or maybe there's no time to be interesting in any other way.
Maybe his jobs are his hobbies. Same thing.
Scuba diving. I'm a master scuba diver, rescue diver in scuba.
Really?
Skiing.
That makes two of us. No.
Who's the other one?
I like skiing.
I mean, I feel like I'd give it a shot.
You like when you say rescue diver? What kind of rescuing?
I'm trained in the rescue certification.
Have you done any of it?
No, not as a job. I still have to maintain life insurance, and you can't do that as a too wild of a scuba diver.
Right.
Yeah,
but they let you in the band. That seems more dangerous.
That was that's a lot going on. There's a long story of how that all came to be.
You'd make no money off that.
I don't know. It's if I made money, it would be a job, and it's not a job. It's there for fun.
You just enjoy it.
I enjoy it. I can't wait for Fridays and Saturday nights because it is so much fun.
And
that's your social life.
What do you play? What instrument?
I play the underrated instrument known as the laptop computer. So
you're basically running the board.
Yeah. The lights, and I fill in where I can. I do know a little bit of keyboard. I play 3 keys: the G, the F sharp, and the D. For
Oh,
one
so you'll
song.
play sometimes?
Those 3 keys.
Three keys.
I can show you.
G, F sharp, and a D on a
Haven't you
keyboard.
seen those YouTube videos where basically if you learn 3 or 4 chords on the guitar, you can play any pop
And
Yeah,
song?
but those are chords.
I've stepped in and background danced before. I'm there as the 7th man if they need me.
Yeah.
So, but it takes, as you saw with Crew Downstairs, it takes 14, 15 people to put the show on, and there's always
Steven, we got to make sure we get a one of the pictures of him in his
Yeah.
full outfit from Friday, so that you could put that, because the people watching this, they won't believe it's the same guy.
Yeah, I try to look very different in that, but I also get to travel with the band, which is a lot of fun. We got to go to Southern California and played for the Marine Corps a couple years ago. They flew us out there. That was the time of our life. We partied out there for 3 days straight. We got to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and play at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland last
one?
summer.
Oh, the Cleveland
not the
one, not the
Kansas City
Kansas
one.
one.
No, the
Okay,
one in
all
Cleveland,
right.
the Pyramid. We had a stage out front and got to do
That's
that.
cool.
All of us went. All the girlfriends and everything went along
then in
too.
Mexico.
It was a blast. So
The
we
one
have
in Roswell.
we have a lot of fun, and it's a lot more than just the shows that you see. Is a lot of our social thing.
Speaking of Roswell, have you seen these drones
Yeah, but
hovering
they're
over New
just-
Jersey?
they're just
Yeah,
drones.
no, they're
No, I
not
haven't
just
heard anything
drones.
about
that?
this. What is happening?
They're not
Nobody's
just drones.
told me anything. I'm in the
they
dark.
are.
Hold on. They are drones, but they're not drones like this. Apparently, they're like the size of a van.
There was one that was supposed to be like a car.
That's big.
But that's not alien.
But I don't know if they're alien or what, but
Well,
there are a
they're
number of them. There's like a dozen of
Who
them.
do they belong to?
Nobody knows.
They don't know.
But they have been nightly, every single night for like 6 months.
Gotta be Elon
flying
Musk.
over
Northern
New
New
Jersey, some parts of New York City. One of them, I think somebody said crashed or something.
Yeah, but
And
they're drones. You
Yeah,
can
but
buy a
that's-
drone. You can buy all the
no,
drones you want
not,
to
not,
not the
no,
size
no,
of a
not the
van.
size of a
There
car.
you go.
These
You
are,
can get a drone at Brookstone.
No, most
put in your
of them,
hand.
but most of them are at night, and you're just seeing lights.
yeah, but if let's say there's a
I just had
dozen
this
of them,
with your brother, I
and
just
one
had
of
this.
them is the size of a van. That's not something you or I can acquire easily.
That's an Elon
No,
Musk.
but I would think a guy who's fairly.
What's his interest in New Jersey?
But for,
You could make
I'm
a
not
drone,
suggesting that. Whoa, hold on. Let's get back to that.
Either can Andy. I hope he didn't mean him.
I'm not suggesting.
I haven't seen him make a sandwich,
that
let alone a
they
drone.
Well, what do you say? What are
I'm
you
not
thinking?
suggesting it's alien. I'm suggesting there is something weird going on, even if it is Elon Musk. Why are you flying? Whoever is doing this, it's probably, you would think, some foreign nation.
Yes.
The U.S. claims it's not theirs, although probably the most likely answer is it is the U.S. and they're testing some technology and they don't want us to know
What technology?
about
They're
it.
drones. We got a million.
Who knows what they're doing?
We don't.
Did
we
you
don't, we don't
ever
know what
see
they're doing.
these things in China where they have shows with 10,000
Yeah, but that's a very different
drones?
thing.
No,
I've seen those shows. This
yeah.
is
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
a
they're
lot different though.
remarkable.
Yeah, but these aren't shows.
Listen, this guy's got credibility. He rides helicopters. He's telling us this is something different.
This
I've
is
been in a
scary.
helicopter.
I am terrified by it.
I don't know what
He's
it is.
terrified.
It's
What
Terry?
What do you think? Do you think
terrified?
it's like
I think it's a foreign.
government?
I think it's a foreign nation that
Do it.
has a drone ship 12 miles off the coast in
Yeah.
international waters that's bringing these things in, and it just happens to be that they're parking them right over near President Trump's Bedminster estate in New Jersey. So they're there, but there was a senator or I think it was a representative, I can't remember his name, that he alluded to yesterday. That's Iran. There's an Iranian ship out there that these are launching off, and they're just doing it as a show of force. That hey, we can just see
They
that we can do
claim-
it, just like China was doing with the balloons.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the balloon? When
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
flew?
yeah, yeah.
My kids and I all went out in the backyard and mooned the thing, and when it came over, but they had no way to shoot that thing down.
I think I
It
saw
was-
your ass on a Chinese website.
I think
Actually,
it was.
Wait, what do you mean they had no way of shooting?
They
it
had
down?
no way to shoot it down at that time because it was so high. They didn't have a fighter jet that could make it up there that high, and eventually it did.
these are not high,
So,
from what I understand.
They're not. But when you've got 70 of them,
I can't believe
How
I'm
are
only
you
first
gonna-
hearing about
Are
this.
there that many?
I
Here's
don't know.
what-
I'm just
I
threw out a
didn't
number.
know.
I mean,
Here's the
there's
thing.
anywhere
Sam's
between
been
a dozen of them to more. But
Yeah.
let's say they came over with 70 of them. Do you have enough fighter jets and enough missiles to take these things out?
I have
that-
nothing.
Here's what I think. I think the government of the United States of America knows exactly what these are.
Oh, I agree.
And it makes sense that they're not telling us.
Well, if
I
they've
think
crashed, they know what they are.
I don't know if that's true or not. And I think if they were a major threat, they would have taken them down. Although maybe they're over residential areas. I don't know what you do. The stuff with Iran is, I'm surprised that we have not taken more action. Have you seen the stuff that they have posted on their Instagram account?
Iran has an
post
Instagram
these
account?
fantasy videos of them assassinating Trump. And it was apparently well known that they had said they were going to assassinate him.
I think there was a plot that had been uncovered.
But they post these like fantasy videos of them assassinating Trump, which that's really scary that
is
we
it
allow.
scary? I mean,
Wait,
it's just a fantasy.
How would we not allow it?
Oh, I think that you're threatening.
Is it a threat or is it just a fantasy?
Russia's been doing that for years.
No,
Russia's been doing.
not posting videos.
Yeah, they do. I'm telling you.
I've never seen it. Where are they posting it?
Well, you wouldn't see it. I don't know.
This is publicly posting.
I've seen these things.
I think it's really. I don't know. There's a lot of scary stuff happening out there.
There is.
But they also claimed it wasn't Iran. But again, they're not going to tell you. It's strange at the very least.
It's Iran?
I think it is. I mean, if it was the U.S. military, they'd have no reason to do
This
it right
guy's
there
got like
where
4
it was
different
visible.
jobs. If he
Well,
says
unless
it's
there's
Iran-
something happening over there, or
They were
there's
monitoring something. I mean, that could be
Exactly.
Could
In
be very well.
Jersey?
Again, that's
Who knows?
Well, that's President Trump's Bedminster golf course right there. That
got golf courses all over the
But
place.
he stays in that one occasionally. Do you know who that estate used to belong to back in the day?
Oh.
John DeLorean.
Oh, really?
Bedminster?
Bedminster.
Do you know where Mar-a-Lago is named for?
It was named the cereal.
Yeah, Marjorie Post.
Marjorie Post on that, yeah.
She was the youngest and the first female CEO of a major company. She was only 27 when she took it over from her dad, CW. He killed himself. He had uncontrollable stomach pain, and he killed himself. She took it over at 27.
Like that guy who shot the guy from United Health.
Did he have stomach pain?
Terrible
I thought he had back pain.
Yeah, but you have bad back pain. That'll drive you crazy.
The CW went down. Marjorie went in, and she was at the helm when they acquired Birdstone Frozen Foods.
Ed and I were talking
big
about
deal.
this earlier. And it started with the discussion of the Time Person of the Year. What does that mean? And so we were talking about who could have won it. Because my premise was I don't think Trump should have won this year because I don't think he's done anything this year. He won an election and that's big, but the actions, he's not taken actions to be the person of the year yet. Next year, maybe so. I don't know.
I took the other position.
And so Ed, one of the people he posed was Luigi, the guy who killed the United Healthcare CEO. And again, I said, it may end up causing tremendous action.
I think it's worth mentioning
but I don't know.
that the Person of the Year, Time Magazine, it's not an honor. They're not giving it out as an award.
It's a distinction.
They're not praising anything you've done.
Evil.
They're looking.
Hitler
Hitler's won it.
Was he?
Yes, he's won it.
The Boston bomb.
So you
that
have
was Rolling Stone.
when
Then
people
if that's
have. It's supposed to be whose presence had the
Who's
biggest
made the
impact.
biggest impact? Yeah.
On
Anyway,
the
the reason
country.
I brought it up was not to debate that. It was the question of what do you think is going to happen? I mean, healthcare is clearly, for almost everyone in this country, there is a negative association with you and your healthcare.
Right. You either have insurance or you have terrible insurance.
Right.
There's no third option.
And so,
Or you either don't have insurance or you have terrible insurance. Yes. Okay.
do you think, we were talking, is this a moment we will look back on? Will this change things? Is this sort of the spark that will change American healthcare, even if it's just how health insurance companies operate, which by necessity will change how the big healthcare systems operate? I mean, are we going to look back in 5 years, or do you think it's just...
Not from this.
I really hope that it does have that because it'll save other people's lives, a lot of people's lives. You hate that you needed an act of violence to draw attention to something. But the truth of it is, we are built like that. We are drawn that way. And, and let me ask you this question. Because I'm not saying, and I know we're supposed to disclaim and say, you know, we don't support any kind of violence and political violence or any kind of violence to make your point. I get that. But when you do it collectively, when a country says, we have an issue, for example, with the spread of communism, looking back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know, most average Americans didn't give it much thought in their daily life, but you had a government that said, that's a threat, it's not good for us. We're going to go ahead and we're going to send hundreds of thousands of troops, including your children, to go kill people because we think this cause is important enough to warrant murder, death, and even if it means innocence. Now, what happened here was the same thing, but on a smaller scale. Instead of a nation deciding to go to war on something, you had an individual who looked at something and said, this is messed up, this is very bad, it's bad for a lot of people, I think it's worth going to war for. And he strapped it on himself. He enlisted himself, didn't enlist somebody else to do it.
Right.
And he went out and he took an action, whether you agree that it was the right one or the wrong one. But why are people quick to want to Why are people quick to want to jump on and say that this is an irrational or a mentally ill act when we don't say that when a country does it?
Because
I think
he
it is
seemed to be irrational.
Because it is a crazy act.
But why? Then war is crazy. War is the exact same thing on a bigger level.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But why does it seem like, now me, I'm against all of it, so I'm consistent.
course.
Sounds like you are too. But a lot of people out there, if it's done in the name of war, you don't even think twice about it. You follow it blindly. But when an individual declares a war and takes action on it, that's not allowed.
Because it's one individual as opposed to a society saying this is what we believe is.
But clearly, this individual tapped into something in society, because the second this happened, the social media has taken over.
Crazy.
I mean, there are more songs written already about this incident than about the Vietnam War.
Not just songs, it's people saying.
What's the real problem?
What do you mean?
In other words, are insurance companies right? I think we'd all agree insurance companies are right sometimes to deny coverage.
Sure.
So wait, do you think they're never right?
No, it's not that. I believe that the solution is simple. Health insurance industries should not be a for-profit industry. You shouldn't have billions and billions in profits. The way insurance should work is everybody pays into a collective so that if anything bad happens to anybody, there's money to cover it, and then that money should go out and pay those claims.
Which I believe is the way it works everywhere else in the world.
It should not be. When you're trying to carve out a 30 or 40% profit margin, you have to deny people.
But that's not the insurance company's fault.
But it is.
It's our fault.
No, yes,
we don't have, that system exists. We can copy it, and we don't
is
do
an
it.
allocation of risk. That's how it was started. It was started at a pub in England, at Lloyd's, where people were waiting for their ships of goods to come in. And they were deathly afraid that if their ship happened to sink on its way to the country, they'd be out their fortune. This is important for people to know the background of why insurance exists in the first place. And somebody said, I'll tell you what, your thing is worth $1,000. Give me $100. If your ship doesn't come in, I'll give you $1,000. If it comes in, I'm going to keep your $100. And that's how it started. And people wanted to buy and insure different segments of people's cargo. So they would put on the top of a piece of paper what their cargo was, and they would pass it around the bar, and anybody who wanted a piece of the action would do it, and they would sign their name under the line. That's where the expression underwriting comes from. It comes from that exact experience. But what was not built into that was a profit. It was just an allocation of risk. Our health insurance industry is not based on allocation of risk as it should be. It's based on a profit motive, which means that people who need coverage are going to be denied for profit.
You don't also own a piece of a healthcare company, do you?
I don't.
Health insurance.
But I know about it though. So,
but that's never going to happen. I mean, now it doesn't happen that way, and now with a very anti-regulation government, it's never going to change.
Even if it was a pro-regulation government, I don't know how you take an entire industry and say you no longer exist and have no right to make profit. I think it's a very difficult problem to solve.
But you can require that a certain percentage
they do that
of your premiums. Yeah, but it needs to be increased. I mean, if you're making that level of money, then you have not set the caps correctly. You have to require that 80% of collected premiums must be paid out in
More
claims.
regulation, and it's never
Well, it's not a
gonna happen.
regulation. I mean, to me, that's a rule.
Jonathan's
Right,
got
but
something.
The other piece
That's
of
what
it too
all regulations
is
are,
when you
they're
go into
rules.
the emergency room and you walk out with a Band-Aid on your arm and they get a bill for $2,000 to $3,000. That's the other thing I think that's gotten away from people is the hospitals, the
the
doctors. I
systems.
don't want to put this on the doctor, but the system itself has gotten to a point where if we need to recover X to pay for this hospital and pay for all these people to work here, we need to charge 10 times that because we know that the insurance company is going to deny so much of this, or Medicare or Medicaid's only going to pay this so much of it. Do you know what a hospital bills out? You know what they actually get back? What percentage of money they actually get back?
I'm guessing it's small.
It's under 10%.
Yeah, it's small.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well,
It's-
that doesn't surprise me because they're always so negotiable. The problem is if you go into an emergency room with the exact same thing, I go into the exact same emergency room and you're on Medicare, but I'm a cash payer. We're going to pay something different than the same person with the same thing who's on Medicaid, who has United Healthcare, who has, it's crazy. It's crazy that there are all these, I don't know what the answer is.
If everybody was on a high deductible plan where you had to bargain, basically, you only had catastrophe insurance for injuries that ended up costing more than $5,000 or $10,000, but anything under that you had in a savings account, a HSA account. That's what the kind of insurance I maintain. I go in and I bargain with it. All of my kids, every one of their deliveries and everything. I made a deal. I'll pay you this much today.
And they'll do it.
And they'll do it because they know they're going to have that money in the pocket today
but
versus
everything's
arguing for
negotiable.
When
6
did we
months.
become
That's what
a
happened.
souvenir shopping thing
Right.
in
It
the
doesn't-
middle of the Middle
Right.
East? Everyone's
but I do think-
bartering and bargaining for health care?
You make a good point.
They took capitalism out of it.
The
That's the problem.
hospital and systems, and it's not the doctors, you're right, because most of the doctors, the independent practices have been absorbed by the hospital systems. The doctors don't like it any more than you or I do. They have the same issues. Doctors used to make considerably more money than they
Lot
do
more
today.
money.
It is a lot of the systems. And I don't know. And weirdly, a lot of them are not for profit somehow. I don't
They
know.
keep building buildings over there.
But
Yeah.
nobody has the stomach for a true, no
I don't. Is it they don't have the
insurance system.
stomach, or is it that
I think
nobody knows how to change something that is
you know
so
what
massive?
It is? There's so much money in it.
Yeah.
And the way the government works with lobbyists and the way people are elected and all the money involved that they can't make
It
the
would be
change.
hard. It would be very hard.
And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that I agree with what the guy did, but I understand it.
It has to be done
from what you're
incrementally.
Saying the government is not going to do it. People take matters into their own hands.
Do you think?
I wish he would have put a bomb in an insurance company's headquarters.
Oh God! Now you're both making me
and
very uncomfortable.
Send a warning. I'm going to blow it up and get out.
A half measure.
And that would have been.
It's a half
would
No,
have
you know
measure.
what? It
been
would have
No,
made
wouldn't
it
have done
worse.
a damn
That would have made it
thing.
worse because it would have delayed people's claims. I hope this doesn't spread because I don't think. I think also a lot of people suspect that he may also be schizophrenic. So I don't know that
but
he
that's
was just a vigilante.
That's my point is people will write it off as mental illness when in reality it's no different than when a country decides to go to war.
Well,
they pick a cause.
But if he's legitimately
they,
mentally ill, it's not writing it off as mental illness. It sounds like there were a lot of things that it's not just people saying, "Oh, he killed somebody, he must be
say
mentally
that.
ill."
It's not what you want happening.
I understand,
You
but
may
but
understand
this guy-
his logic behind it, but you don't want individuals picking off some guy they don't know anything about
Just because he's
and thinking
CEO
he's the guy that, and this is
of a
how we
publicly
get-
traded
do
company.
you think that's going to change the insurance company?
I do.
this-
I actually, it's
I
already,
think
it's already
it's-
changed.
No,
things.
I think
it
it's
didn't
possible-
change anything. It got people mad. They'll forget about it in a month.
No, they won't. You know what? I think they have to be. So,
What do you think
If,
they're-
if,
what-
if
what
people
change
work,
do you
people
think's
who
gonna
work at health insurance companies, I'm certain before 2 weeks ago knew that they were hated and the way people felt about them.
Yeah.
But I have to believe
Now
it is a
they-
wake up call
And
that
they're gonna-
people
they're gonna-
not
they're
just
gonna
hated
not
them and
turn
thought they were
people
bad.
down.
No. Well, hold on. Let me
while.
finish. I think it had to be a surprise that the CEO was killed, and the response was not just, "Oh, he's hot, he can come hang out at my place." It was, that guy was a bigger murderer than the guy who killed him, and he deserved it, and it's karma. that everyone was just okay with this guy being murdered in broad daylight. I think that had to be a wake-up call. And if you remember, the day after that happened, another health insurance company had that crazy thing where if you have an hour-long surgery and it goes an hour and 15 minutes, we're not paying for that last 15 minutes of anesthesia. And then they backed off very quickly the next day. I do think I think the one thing that'll happen, I think it's a little chin music. I think they realize they pushed it a little too far, and I think it'll back them off the plate a little bit. I don't think it'll cause major changes.
It doesn't change the system. The system is all about money.
That's the hard part.
And there's too much money involved. And we're too big of cowards as a nation to insist that we get the right things done.
Yeah.
You know what? The Europeans, in France especially, they have something I've read about called general strikes, where everybody in the country says that's enough. They go to the streets. They don't go to work. The subways don't run. Nothing happens, and it makes real change real fast.
We can't agree on anything except for how good these sandwiches are. Since you're on conservative radio, I thought you may have an opinion on this.
Okay.
So, you know who Kimberly Guilfoyle is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dating Trump's son, Don Jr. Did you see that did you see what she is?
Well, I said they're going to make her the ambassador of Greece so that he can date somebody else.
I mean, is everyone's immediate thought, oh, he was ready to break up with her, he'll exile her to Greece?
Oh, no, they
still live here.
him.
What's that?
They released pictures of him and this other woman the same day.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's what we're saying.
No, you don't live. She'll live in Greece.
He came out.
When you're
No,
she's
that's what
the
I'm saying.
ambassador, I think, to
it's
Greece.
one thing to break up with somebody, but you break up and you send them off to Greece. I love that kind of power.
But this is how they've.
I didn't think they had to spend all their time over there.
Ambassadorships.
I think most.
For a long time.
Listen, does anybody really give a crap who the ambassador is to anything?
Well, Stephen Broward here in St. Louis was ambassador to Belgium, I believe, wasn't it? President.
No, Sam Fox.
So, but Hunter Engineering, Steve Broward, he was ambassador to
I don't know.
somewhere.
But
yeah.
Sam
who
Fox
cares? Isn't it just an honorary title?
No, I think. It depends on how you approach it.
I have a neighbor, in Florida, who was the ambassador to China.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Well, now China's a big deal.
Yeah,
How much time did he have to spend?
Russia, China, some UE countries.
How much time did he have to spend there?
Yeah,
If you're the UN
A
ambassador,
friend of
that's
mine's
probably
father,
something.
a guy I know as well locally, was the ambassador to Ireland, and he lived in Ireland.
No kidding.
For the entirety of the time.
You lived there.
Do you live at the embassy? Do you get to,
but
no, not at the embassy. He had a big
I'd live at the
palatial
embassy.
estate.
Those embassies are nice.
No, he had a palatial estate.
The Marines there are protecting you.
He worked hard.
Yeah,
I mean, you're working.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of entertaining.
There's trade issues.
I would be a terrible ambassador.
Depends on what country.
Yes, you
No,
would.
I wouldn't want to be an ambassador for a country. Now, if for a product, I'd be a great ambassador. I'm a great product ambassador.
I don't think those are political appointees.
I don't want a political appointment.
Okay.
That just means you've kissed a certain amount of ass, and I won't do it.
An appointment by Whammo or something.
I don't want to be chosen for anything. I don't want to be appointed to anything. I don't want to be elected to anything. I just want to be left alone.
When we were in L.A.,
Yeah.
Tina and Thomas rode in a Waymo.
Oh,
driverless.
self-driving, yeah.
That was.
Those are funny.
They said it was really because you saw them all the time.
It's funny though that those Waymos, and I've seen them. Why do they waste the front seat on an empty seat if there's no driver? Like, why not just make the inside like a nice, comfortable?
Oh, you can't get in
room?
front?
No. The driver's seat is still a driver's seat.
Yeah, oh, right. I think
the
somebody
driver's
sat in the
seat.
passenger
Yeah,
seat.
but the driver's seat, like, why is there a driver's seat in a self-driving car?
I don't think they care. I think this is an experimental
Is there a
thing.
steering wheel?
No.
I just feel like they could put a
there's
nice
no
little
conversation,
circular table
There's
in
no
there.
voice or anything.
That doesn't make any sense.
Little
Why?
mini bar in there.
Can you
That
choose?
you
They
can't
should
sit
have.
in the driver's seat.
They
It
don't
isn't
really-
a driver's
I think
seat.
they're just trying to build up hours of experimental.
Usage. You know, what'd be nice is if they had AI-generated conversation.
They will.
Yeah, this way you could either say no conversation and you don't have to hear anything, or you can have an AI conversation and the person can somehow generally make you feel good about yourself.
A friend of mine,
or however you want to feel.
That's
you
what'll
could ask
happen.
it.
Google Gemini is apparently, I guess, their AI
Wait,
thing.
they just didn't Google just GM
and
just stop their
And apparently,
AI thing
he
there.
said that if you go on it and play around with it, it is like having a conversation with a human being. He said it was
Oh, well, I don't
terrifying.
want that.
No. No.
Can you get one where it's like having a conversation with a really funny, intelligent human being? That I would do.
Probably.
They wouldn't do it with me.
No,
They've got AI writing songs now. We get a lot of presentations. I'm in an entrepreneurs organization, and we have a lot of people that come and talk to us about AI and how to use it in our businesses. And it is scary what people are getting. You can go in and have a bunch of pictures taken of yourself and basically make yourself into an avatar of yourself. And somebody can have a conversation with you on the computer, but it's not you.
Now,
I saw with your voice.
With your
I
voice,
saw
your
somebody on
facial
TikTok.
expressions, it is wild.
I saw
how
someone on
good it is.
TikTok talking about AI, and I thought they made a really good point. They were like, I want an AI that can do my laundry and my dishes and clean my house so that I could spend my time creating art and music and songs. I don't want the AI creating the art, music, and songs so I could spend all my time doing dishes and
what's
laundry.
weird?
When are we going to see that?
It's funny you
Elon
say
Musk
that.
has got the robots that do that
It's
now.
funny you say that because it seems it's counterintuitive, but it seems like it is easier to create AI to create art than to create AI that can do laundry. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. That seems like it should be the other way around, but you're right. I think that we will see in our lifetime robots in your home that can do those types of
But
things.
what are we going to
walking-
do with the people? What are the people going to do when all of these jobs are gone?
And come over to the sandwich shop.
What's
right.
I mean, really though.
The
what's-
restaurant business
More
will no
time.
longer be struggling to find people
watched
to
the
work.
movie Wall-E?
Well, no. I mean, it's frightening. What is going to happen? What are people going to? How are they going to make a living? You know, all this stuff against guarantee. You know how some cities want to write checks to people, just some sort of guaranteed. You know, and everybody thinks
Well, they
that's
did those to
crazy.
farmers for years. They paid farmers not to farm.
What are we going to do when, let's
They still
say,
do.
in manufacturing?
Yeah.
When manufacturing jobs, I would guess 90% of them within a relatively
Wait.
short.
I think most of the manufacturing is already robotic, isn't it?
Well,
and has been for some
I
time.
think, but it's going to be more.
Yeah, it's going to be
Whatever
more.
is left. I mean, what good jobs are going to be left?
So
I'm going to be working at Capriotti's making sandwiches, and honestly, as long as you pay me a fair wage, I'll be happy.
They've
They're
actually,
not gonna- why should they have a machine?
They've experimented
gonna
with
make 'em like
robots
me.
in the other. Capriotti's also owns a
course
company
they-
called Wing Zone, which is like Wingstop, but it's Wing Zone, and using robots to raise and lower the wings and dress the wings and everything, just to run it on, so that you could be working the counter and not have to be worried about going to the fryer and everything. It's really neat how it all worked.
I mean, hopefully they'll use it for customer service. I mean, there are a lot of missing pieces, you know, in corporations where they had to cut corners, where there are jobs that you really do need people, and hopefully you can put people forward facing, have the robots in the back
But
making
there's
it.
still going to be a
I'm
lot of
against the-
people.
People have
the
never been
kiosks, and
angrier
they're
than they
terrible,
are now.
My bigger fear about
Well,
robots,
especially in the United States.
We are.
Is
People, this is the angriest I could ever remember people being.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that we get frustrated every single time we make a phone call to any company because we can't get a human being
you
on
know
the
why
phone.
There's
It
no
is.
empathy when you're talking to a robot.
No, there's
You know,
zero. There's no
because
connection there.
people have lost the ability to talk to others. It's like you were talking before the thing, having to go to parties. I think that I don't know if we've talked about this here before, but when we were younger, before cell phones, you get on a bus for 2 hours. You are staring at the back of the seat on that bus, or else reading a book. But you're in your head. You're thinking about things. Your mindfulness used to be just the waiting room in the doctor's office. You didn't have to like meditate and set aside time to be mindful. And I think that nobody ever has time to process emotions and process thoughts and how they feel about things and deal with them. And so everybody, you're all pissed off about something, you go straight to your phone, you never deal with those emotions. And so everybody is at this level here of rage because they never have an opportunity to just sit, be in their own thoughts, learn how to handle their own emotions. Nobody has any coping skills.
And, you know,
anymore.
good.
Social media has made this country the most unsocial place
has.
to live.
It has.
Because people, as you said, they take to their phone. They don't deal with other people. They don't have a conversation. You surround yourself on social media with people with the same political leanings
Everyone
and
is in a
norms.
bubble.
And if I left onions off your sandwich, oh my God, it is the end of the, you know, they will take
Capital
to it
offense.
to take me down. And that has been the hardest.
And your whole family.
That has been the hardest thing to get by. And that's why I talk to everybody I can that comes into my restaurant and set the expectation. And, you know, we don't screw up much, but when we do, people are like, oh, well, he's a guy.
It takes so little.
It was
right?
honesty.
He's not a robot.
I went to a restaurant a few weeks ago, and when I went in, and it wasn't that crowded, but the manager came right over and said, hey, just a heads up, we're short-staffed today. The kitchen's running about 45 minutes behind. If you're just getting drinks or something, no big deal, but I wanted to let you know ahead of time so you could decide if you wanted to wait here or not. I was extremely grateful that he gave me a heads up, and I thought, you know what, I'm not in a rush, and I'm not that hungry. I don't mind waiting. And I had a perfectly pleasant time. Yeah. Sometimes just a little honest communication, and people are okay. We just want to know what we're looking at. We don't want to feel misled. We just let us know, and it's all right.
And if you would have seen that on a Facebook post or something, or not seen it because if you don't use Facebook like me, people, the thumbs up, the thumbs down, whatever. Not everybody goes to that. Not everybody cares. But when they create that connection with you, now you can understand. This guy's having a bad day. I don't want to make it any worse for him. And let's support the place.
I'm amazed at how frequently, like, I'll be at a restaurant and something will go wrong, or there's a longer wait or whatever. And they're so apologetic. And I'm like, it's fine. It's just a hamburger. I don't care. I'll wait. Yeah, it sucks, but
it's
deal.
nice when they let you in on it.
And no, but I'm amazed at how often, because things like that don't bother me.
Yeah.
Things happen. It's out of my control. I don't like it, but like, I'm not gonna like start yelling at people. I'm amazed at how often people are like, oh my God, thank you so much for being so understanding. I'm like, are people really not understanding?
Right.
They're like, oh my God, you have no idea.
In the restaurant,
people go crazy.
Food is very personal, and it's you're an easy target if somebody's having a bad day.
It's just crazy how.
Now let me talk about a new, because I love to talk about products that I recently bought and done. I bought a product, you probably have seen it on your feeds. I saw it, I was intrigued, and I said, you know what, I'm going to get it. I'm going to set it up and see if it's as joyous and as good as it appears to be. And it's called a Bird Buddy.
Oh, you love that thing. It is pretty cool.
The Bird Buddy, it's a little bird feeder with a built-in ring cam. And you can get it with solar power, so you don't have to worry about keeping it charged. You just have to keep seed in it. They have different seeds available depending on what kind of birds live in your area. And I even put some nuts in it to attract some squirrels. So I set this thing up, and then just like a ring cam, as different visitors come to snack during the day, I get a little alert on my phone, and then I watch them with these cute little faces eating my seed, and they identify the breed of bird for you.
Oh, really?
So you know exactly. You can name the bird. So if the same bird comes back,
it can identify 2 different cardinals.
Yes. And let you know, hey, Yachty is back.
Yeah, right.
It can. This is what it does. And you can, listen, these things are incredible.
Have you had repeat customers?
I've repeat. Yachty comes back all the time.
You gotten any bad Google reviews?
I have
His seed sucks.
I have the squirrel now because I mix it with these special peanuts. I mix peanuts in with the bird seed, and I get a fair number of squirrels coming to visit. And all day long, I get these little alerts, and I love it. How
much did this cost?
Makes me happy. It was about $150 for the whole setup. It really wasn't bad.
Oh my God, I'm going to buy like 6 of these. I got Christmas covered now. Thank you.
Let me tell you, it's fabulous. I bought 80 pounds worth of seed and 60 pounds worth of peanuts.
Ripped through it in a week.
And let me tell you, I've already had to refill it 4 times.
Vultures.
But let me tell you, it is joyous. So I can't imagine
I've seen
anybody
these for years, and
not wanting to
never
enjoy
bought
these.
one. I'm definitely in. Oh, let me ask you this, kind of tangentially. I don't know if I've made this up in my head, but I feel like I've seen a few videos, and maybe I've taken a leap in what's actually happening. But is it possible? Are there people who can, like, I don't know if tame is the right word, but befriend squirrels?
Yeah, I'm sure that.
Like I feel like there are people
the one with the
who
cookie.
I don't know, but I've seen people who are like, oh, hey, Skippy, whatever. And like, they'll get the same squirrel that they'll like feed, and it like comes around and it'll eat out of their hand.
I saw the video of that squirrel. And
I've seen several.
When they said that a squirrel left a cookie for the owner as a thank you. And I thought, no, they didn't. And they had it on video. And the squirrel took the cookie
I think
and
my
left it on
cousin
a
Ben
ledge.
may have befriended a squirrel.
But wasn't there some animal like that that they euthanized someplace?
Oh, yeah, which was part of the election.
Yeah.
It was Peanut the squirrel. Some guy had a pet squirrel and
and it was real cute.
Yeah,
and then
and they said you can't have a squirrel, so they killed
the
it or
wild
something.
animal. Yeah, the
And it
animal
became
control came and got it. Yeah.
So what about the dude that gives the raccoons hot dogs? Those are great videos. I can't talk to my fellow man, but I can watch this guy give hot dogs to these raccoons, and I can watch that for hours.
And there's people that do that with skunks too.
Yeah,
I was
and
down
they
in
figure-
Pensacola scuba diving, and there was a street fair down there, and the guy had 2 skunks.
Oh, playing with fire.
He
Yeah,
was
he was
playing
holding on
with
to,
fire.
and they were like cats. They were all snuggling on
Skunk
him.
is
It
one
was
of those
wild.
smells. You know, I grew up in the East Coast and in New York, and so you would smell that skunk scent quite a bit. It's one of those smells that's supposed to be bad, but I have to be honest, it brings back such warm memories for me of growing up. I love the skunk
I guess
smell.
when you're closer, remember, most of the time you smell
getting it
them,
from
you
a
were
long
in a
distance.
car, probably.
Right, right.
You know, so you're
Let
a
me
long
tell you
way
something.
away.
About a year or two ago, I was in Colorado driving and didn't see it. Ran over a dead skunk. It was already dead with my car, and it stunk.
You must have gotten it right on that, right on the pouch.
Like, was unbearable to be in the car. I went through a car wash like 2 or 3 times, and the smell still really wasn't totally gone.
What do they tell you? Tomato juice? Is that
You're
a
just
thing?
supposed to
It
bathe
doesn't
in
work.
tomato.
Yeah, it's the acidity that's supposed
Yeah,
to.
you just
do
go
that.
get yourself 80 gallons. Of
I think they
tomato.
just want people to
say
look
that.
stupid
You know,
in
I'll have
tomato
80
juice.
gallons. I can have 80 gallons at my place by tomorrow.
I feel like we've said it all.
We've covered
Well,
a
I've
lot.
Oh,
got a question for you guys. I'm
come
gonna
on.
switch over to the interviewee.
Oh, we're not,
comes to be
we
the
got nowhere to
interviewer.
be.
Oh my!
What do you got?
This is exciting.
In the business, being an entrepreneur, I'm fascinated by the marketing that you all do. So I watch commercials, and you see them, whether it be with insurance. I'm sure it's always for a bad thing, but Mr. Crouppen, I've seen you on TV. I think you're probably the most recognized figure on TV in St. Louis. You've been on TV longer than any news anchor, any car dealer, or anything else.
That's true.
I can remember in the 80s seeing it with all the books and everything behind you on these commercials. And you know, whether it be insurance or law, now companies that have got a big enough name for themselves, like Progressive or State Farm, Geico, they've all switched to funny commercials. They don't need to even advertise anything to do with the insurance. Everybody knows their insurance company. It's just keeping out in front of people that, hey, we're still a brand. What point were you at that you were able to do that with your company here, to say we can now do fun things like this? What was the transition there, that we can go and do things like this, and your other advertisements I see now, or you don't even mention anything about being a lawyer?
I guess just comfort and a certain relationship built with the public. You know, when I saw that people would come up to me and just be so nice, you know, I saw that we had established sort of a friendship and a sort of mutual trust in each other. And when you feel more comfortable, you loosen up and you want to give people a little treat. We just did it during the election. We did a commercial with puppies.
I remember.
You know, which people really loved because, you know, no, people don't want to be sold. People, their lives are too filled with stressful, bad things. People don't want to turn on TV and get sold something. So, you know, if you can inform and not ram it down somebody's throat, and a lot of times humor is the way to do it.
That's sort of that's where this podcast comes from. I mean, obviously, this is not something we do in our personal lives. This is something we do in the name of the law firm. And, you know, we almost never talk about the law or the law firm because we just wanted to give something. We figured if we could give something entertaining to people and humanize ourselves, you kind of identify with us, regular guys who you'd sit down and eat a sandwich with. You know, the hope is that we feel approachable and likable and trustworthy. And if somebody does need a lawyer, we'll be top of mind, not because we crammed 87 commercials down your throat. We can do that on TV. But in your feed, we're just trying to make you laugh.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job with it.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful podcast. And on the same topic, I've been in a lot of law firms in my life, whether it be to do with my business or now catering to them. Most of them are in big glass towers in Clayton or downtown St. Louis. And here you are on the hill in an old oven factory that was a dog food warehouse for a while. How did you come about this piece of property and turn it into this beautiful building that it is? I took the opportunity while you were doing your awards ceremony down there to kind of just wander and snoop around a little bit, but walk up and down the hall. This building is so cool.
Thank you.
How did you come up with this, that we're going to put this law firm on the hill in this building? This is beautiful.
So we were looking to stay in the city. Part of it is, quite honestly, I live not too far from here, and I didn't want to drive out to Chesterfield. I wanted to be somewhat close to home. So some of it was selfish. And a friend of mine in real estate said, hey, I have a building that you might be interested in. He knew I was looking. And we had looked at other buildings, and I saw it, and I just was like, oh, my God, this could be so cool. I've lived in New York City for a long time, so I saw, a lot of repurposing of old buildings, old warehouses. And I remember I brought these guys and a couple other people, and they're like, the neighborhood's nice. And I was like, trust me, this building is going to be incredible. And it came out great. We love being in the neighborhood. I'm glad we were able to stay in the city of St. Louis.
It's my favorite part of St. Louis is the Hill.
It's great.
When we were down at Met Square, and when we first moved into that building, it was really like a special moment for the firm because that building in its day was spectacular, and that area was thriving. But by the time we left there, you could barely find a place to get lunch. Yeah. Most places had left, and then all of a sudden you go from that to the Hill. You want to talk about getting lunch.
I know.
My God. You've got 30, 40 restaurants on the Hill. You've got all the restaurants right across the street in the Grove and then down the road in the Central West End. And it's vibrant. I mean, this is the part of the city that...
flourishing.
Yeah, it really is. And the Hill is always... It's the safest I've ever felt being at work. Even if I'm working late and it's dark, you're on the Hill. It feels like a neighborhood. It feels like we have all the benefits of working in a legitimate neighborhood, but still getting to be a part of the city of St. Louis, which I do think is important because, the city relies on the city earnings tax to help fund its budget. It's 1% of anybody who works for the company, pays into that. And yes, if we had moved to Clayton like a lot of other law firms did, we could have avoided paying that tax. We felt an obligation to it. We felt like, we're a large company, we're well known. The money that we make helps the city a lot, and the city really couldn't do without it. So I don't know. I don't want to make us seem like saints, but that definitely played into the equation.
I think people don't appreciate that the region, the epicenter of the region, the basis of the region is the city proper of St. Louis. There would be no Chesterfield if there were no city of St. Louis. It never would have happened. And so all the sports teams, they're all based in the city of St. Louis, at least for now.
Well, listen, by definition, a suburb cannot exist if it doesn't serve a city.
That's right. And so I think it's important to support that.
Right.
So, and we did, and we found a great space, and we love it here.
Andy, though, is being modest. Andy has vision. I don't. I can't.
Well, you can't
Andy,
say that. You have a vision to do this.
Right, but I'm saying
visions.
architectural.
You're the city of St. Louis. I'm Chesterfield.
No, but I'm just saying you have
just a suburb.
the ability to walk into empty space and see what it could be. To me, it's just empty space.
It's funny you say that. I walked in. I was looking at a building a few weeks ago to buy, and it's listed as
Mr. Rockefeller.
9,600 square feet. It's been for sale for 2 years. And there's a thing with me with square footage. Yes. I walk in the building, this ain't 9,600 square feet. Not even close. And
you don't want to question his eye when it comes to square footage. It's insane.
We were pacing the outside of the building, and it's an oval. So we were trying to figure out the formula. Turns out it was about 6,000 square feet. Yeah. Not even close.
No, not even close. Now, why were they off by that much? That's almost criminally to be off by that much.
I don't know. I don't want to tarnish anyone's good name. I think it was the organization that's owned the building, built the building, and has owned it for 50, 60, 70 years. And I think it was just someone in the corporate got something wrong, passed it along, and
it probably transposed two numbers.
Maybe something like that. I think it was very innocent. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what 9,600 square feet looks like.
But he does.
I do.
Yeah, you guys did a beautiful job with this, and the technology that's within here and all the other things. I was blown away. And just walking into other law offices, it's always very, I don't want to say boring, but it's a very sterile environment.
There's definitely what you say, crap.
You
don't want to walk into other.
You don't want to wear your good shoes.
Yeah. There's a vibe that goes into a lot of these offices. When I walked in here, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome, because I didn't know where we were playing yet, and I saw that event space, and when I saw this, I said, this is going to be a hell of an event that we're going to be able.
And it was.
Well, thank you.
It was great.
Yeah.
So you guys
I appreciate
knocked it
it.
out of the park.
And you're welcome anytime, as long as you
Thank
got 3-foot-long sandwiches there.
Yeah, my God.
Those are the biggest sandwiches I've
They
ever
were
seen.
enormous. Last question,
18
then we're
inches.
going to wrap.
Yes,
but
sir.
the bread.
The bread.
Oh, that's
you
a good
make
question.
it in-house? You get it outside?
It's made for Capriotti's. It's
nearby?
It's no, it
Because
comes.
it tasted very fresh.
We get bread every other day. It comes in,
Wow.
but it's their quality control. I kind of fought them a little bit on the bread, because I said I got all this great bread right here. And everybody expects, if they're going to order this Italian, they want this crusty bread, and they're going to want Italian dressing on. And this is when I got put in my place for a good reason. And they said, this isn't a St. Louis sub.
Yeah.
This is an East Coast sub. This is how we do it. And I went, it was a forehead, hand to the head slap that, oh yeah, this is, we're bringing something that's an East Coast product into St. Louis. We can't do what everybody else does in St. Louis. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, but that's good. That's good that you're able to know when to push back, know when you really this is the
that
fight
was
to
a
have.
mistake on my
And,
part.
You know what? You're right about that bread.
Yeah,
you back
so
down.
One day, when we get enough stores here, we can do, because bread is a big part of it, and it is, if you don't have bread, you're in big trouble. So they don't usually allow franchisees to do their own bread until you've got a lot of stores, or you've got a collective enough people to do that. Because if something gets messed up there, it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah.
So
it.
it's a company that makes it to our specifications for us, much like the turkeys and the pastrami.
They make good bread.
Yeah.
Folks, if you hung in this long to the podcast, you're welcome. This was a winner today.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. And my only wish for you is that you could try these sandwiches, and you can make that wish come true.
Yeah.
Go to Rock Hill at Manchester and Rock Hill Road, in that little shopping center that's got
across the street,
Katie's.
across from Aldi, across the parking lot from Aldi.
Yeah.
We're there every day, 9 to 9. And most of our business comes in online. We've got probably 60 to 70% of our business is online
and the
orders.
Thanksgiving sandwich, the Bobby, that will remain on the menu all year. But if you want it with the special dipping gravy,
gotta
get there in December.
The rest of the year, it's BYOG.
I
Second week
really,
of June,
I want to
maybe.
start
Second week
a
of June,
petition. I'm going to start a petition right now to keep the
Year-round gravy?
year-round
I agree.
gravy. I'm going to have shirts made. What will it take to get year-round gravy?
It's one of those
Chip
things.
off the old block.
You know what I'm going to have? Aldi's. Wonderful groceries, fair prices. They may send me
great place.
something. You mentioned Aldi's. Let me get us
listen,
something.
Like, subscribe, follow us, share
That's
with your
it.
friends,
Everything.
eat at Capriotti's, and have a
that's
good
it.
one.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
everybody.
Thank you so much. It's great.
Bless you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.